In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add a new page to your website. We'll do another video tutorial on how to edit items in your page, but for this video tutorial, it's how to add a new page to your website. Okay, I'm going to flip over to the site just so you can see what I'm talking about here. And as you can see right here, we have a navigation bar that's listed several pages. If you click on those, they will go to separate pages. Same thing with all the items down here. But there are pages on your website that are not, you can't find those directly from the site right here the way it's set up. You may be running a promotion. For example, the fall plant sale. Well, what we had set up the fall plant sale to be was ourfatherschildren.org/plant. And that takes you to a web page on your site that's the fall plant sale. So let's think ahead and say you want to do something similar to that. How would you add a new page? All right, we go back to our dashboard, and right here you should see the word pages. If you don't see anything below that, click that, and you have two options, edit and add new. For this tutorial, we're going to add new, and it brings up a title bar and a body, if you will. So for instance, the fall plant sale listed here is in the title section, and in the section below that includes this image and all this text would be found below here. So this is where you would type the title of the page as you start to think ahead. Well, let's just say, for instance, that we're going to do a page that's called swimming. And we're going to do a whole page devoted to swimming for some reason. Well, let's say we're going to try to raise money for a swimming pool. So the first thought would be is you would type swimming pool here. Now, I'm going to do this to show you something as to what not to do. When you deal with HTML and all this kind of stuff, all this is kind of one long run-on sentence. So you notice there's no spaces. This little space causes a problem when you're dealing with HTML code. So what it does is to connect that, it will add a dash. And you might be able to see that here a little bit right there. So if you were telling somebody, go to ourfatherschildren.org/swimming-pool, well, that might be a little confusing to them. So you have to think ahead of what you want to say. And you want it to be easy. You want it to be short. Ourfatherschildren.org, that's not a really long URL, but it's not the shortest one I've ever seen too, compared to like Dell.com or AT&T.com or Sprint.com or something along those lines. So you have to think through about how short you want it to be and how easy it is to remember and tell people about. So now just what I'll do is I'll publish this, and then I'll delete that page so we can start over. So let's think about that. We want to add new. But let's think about maybe we want this to say, instead of swimming-pool, maybe we only want it to say pool. And once you just click down here, it'll automatically start to lock in this permalink. Now you can see we've locked in ourfatherschildren.org/pool. And that's what you want. Now you can come back and change this to swimming pool. And by doing so, you're still locked in with the ourfatherschildren.org/pool, but your title can now say swimming pool, or it can say we want a new pool. You can do, you can say whatever you want to now on the title, now that you've kind of saved the permalink to be what you want. Now, once you've done that, down here is kind of like working in a word processor. You want to add a text in here. The swimming pool, okay, will be open soon. All right. And from here, you can bold things. You can change the color. You can center the information here. In fact, if you wanted to, you could even highlight, let's say you wanted to highlight this particular word. Right here, where these links are, you could actually link this. Let's say you wanted to link that to www. I'm just going to make up something. Let's say for some reason, whatever the website address you want it to link to. Now, anytime you link to something outside your site, I recommend to do it in a new window. You would insert that link, and now that's hyperlinked to that. There's a lot of these things you're not going to want to deal with primarily. If you ever decide you don't like something, that button right there will be a great resource for you, the undo button. You can spell check from here. You can add bullets and numbers. I don't necessarily worry about too much on quotes. If you wanted to add a photo, you can do it like an add media button here, that little star. You can select the files and go right to where you want it to be. I think I've got some photos on here. Let's just say we're going to grab that image, and it loads it in here. And once it loads it on here, you scroll down here and you can say I want to center it. I want it to be full size. I'm not sure why it says 0 by 0, but you could say insert into post. Oh, and then there's this huge gigantic picture, which that's a bad idea, but bad for the tutorial here, but you get the idea that you can add an image on here. There's a little trick I want to show you about doing this. Sometimes it's hard to see just within this little small window. So right down here in the corner, you have these little arrows, or they're not arrows, but they're lines at a diagonal. If you click on that, there's a little arrow. If you click that and hold it, you can actually pull it down. You can even scroll down a little bit more. And that really makes it a little bit easier to manage, especially if you have a lot of text and you can see that. And if you don't like it that big, you can always pull that up, okay, to where it's a little more manageable. One thing you also want to be is there's two different tabs here. There's what they call the visual. This is what some of them they refer to as a WYSIWYG. It's the what you see is what you get. In other words, what you're typing on here is what's going to be on the website. Now, with every website page, there's the visual portion, but behind the visual portion, what makes it really work is the HTML code. Now, if you want to see a little how all this works, that's the HTML code of that information right there. It's very unlikely that you'll ever spend much time in this section here, so I would simply stay on the visual tab. There's a couple of things that you want to notice. I don't know if we're going to really need to do a lot on here because I think we'd use the default template on there. And that's pretty much all you have to do. Now, once you've got this ready, you can publish this, but there's something else I need to, very important step that I need to show you. After if you wanted to preview the page, you can click there and it opens up in a new window and you can see what this looks like. And you can see there's the title and there's what we wrote. You could see how that would link to a new window like we put it in, and goes from there. Now, obviously, this image is way too big, and so you'd have to resize that down. There's one real critical thing that if I go to publish this, I'll do that, and that publishes it now. There's something that you have to do just on this particular theme, and that's going back over here to this Essence theme options, because if I go to the website now and click on the home page, you're going to see how the navigation bar added this little "we want a new pool," and that's not what we want. So what we do is we go over here to the Essence theme, and right here there's this exclude pages from navigation. Now what it says here is to do is you may select more by control clicking, or use your control. There's a CTRL button on your keypad. So what you'll do is you'll scroll down and find the page that you just created, and all you have to do is by holding down your control button, you hit that one time. Once you do that, you're telling that to exclude. Now after you hit that, you have to go over here and have save options, and by doing so it now says it's saved. So I can go back over here, can upload that, and now we're back to our original navigation bar. But that's something that you really want to be careful about. I wish they would have made that option on the page that you're adding, but that's not how it's done, so you just have to remember to exclude those. The items that are not in blue are the ones that are already on the navigation bar, and that's what we want to be. So hopefully that's a little quick tutorial on how to add pages to your website.